The actions of Hamas are terrible, but that by no means implies I support Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. Just because I am against Hamas does not make me a liberal. I believe that Biden's handling of the 2023 Gaza war was absolutely horrible, and Biden and his administration should face criminal punishment for sending weapons to Israel. At the same time, I think it's important for us to acknowledge that the majority of Palestinians in Gaza are not members of Hamas. To quote gigafact.org, in the wake of Hamas on Israel, news organizations reported that Hamas members comprise about 30,000 of the 2 million people in the Gaza Strip. Gaza is controlled by Hamas. According to the United States, Hamas is a Palestinian group designated as a terrorist organization. On October 7, 2023, Hamas launched an attack on Israel, a US ally, prompting a declaration of war in response. Hamas claimed to have 40,000 fighters, while Israel estimated their force at 30,000, according to reports by the Associated Press. Reports from both Axios and the CIA placed the estimated number of Hamas fighters between 30,000 to 40,000 and 20,000 to 25,000, respectively. Since 2006, Palestinians have not elected a legislature, nor a president, according to PBS. An interview held on October 25 featured Democratic US Representative Mark Pocan from the Wisconsin district of Madison. He asserted that the majority of people living in Gaza are not involved with Hamas and advocated for Israel to be more cautious. Hamas is similar to the Ukrainian Azov Brigade, as both groups are far-right organizations representing minorities in their respective countries. Imperialist forces often exploit these groups' presence to fabricate justifications for warfare and genocide. In the case of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin tried to label the entire country as a Nazi state due to the existence of Azov, even though their president, Zelensky, is Jewish. Such false claims were used to justify Putin's imperialist actions. Bibi Netanyahu is employing a similar strategy to Vladimir Putin, using the actions of Hamas to associate all Palestinians with them. He has positioned Hamas as an overarching threat in order to justify the invasion of Gaza. Not necessarily to eliminate Hamas militants, but rather to engage in systematic violence against Palestinian civilians. In 2006, a legislative election took place in Palestine, and Hamas saw notably high voter turnout in Gaza. However, the reason behind Hamas' popularity among Palestinian voters at that time was not ideological support for their extreme political platform. Instead, many Palestinians chose Hamas as a form of anti-establishment protest against the Fatah party's perceived corruption and inefficacy. There appears to be a concerning mindset emerging among certain self-proclaimed conservative intellectuals, where they advocate for the United States to continue providing financial assistance to Israel, even in the face of Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian population, despite the presence of significant social issues in the US, such as homelessness and hunger. This perspective seems to imply a belief that individuals from Arab backgrounds are innately predisposed to terrorism, rather than recognizing them as products of their surroundings and historical circumstances. According to some individuals, Palestinian people do not exist, and their national identity was supposedly invented by Adolf Hitler in connection with Amin al-Husseini, who was the first president of Palestine. Despite the historical emergence of numerous Palestinian leftist nationalist parties during the period of mandatory Palestine, Amin al-Husseini himself was appointed, rather than elected, by the British to the position of president. I am vehemently opposed to the dehumanizing discourse being promoted by both conservative and liberal circles in America. It is my belief that American support for Israel is a product of Israeli lobbyists wielding undue influence over Middle Eastern policy in both the Republican and Democratic parties via legalized corruption in the form of campaign contributions. While I am against Zionism, Hamas killing 736 Israeli civilians, including 36 children, 79 foreign nationals, and 364 civilians attending a music festival is an evil act. While it is understandable to feel anger and frustration towards the government of Israel, attacking civilians is never justified. I acknowledge that the root cause of Hamas' existence can be traced back to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territory. However, despite the political complexities, one thing remains unequivocal. The indefensible act of targeting and killing civilians is never justified or excusable. It is crucial to recognize that the killing of children is always wrong, no matter which side they are on. While I understand that Hamas attacked Israel due to the blockade of Gaza's population, which has been described as a form of genocide by the intentional starvation and denial of basic necessities. By attacking Israel on October 7th, Hamas put the people of Gaza in greater danger of increased brutality from Israel. Killing civilians has little effect on Israel's ability to wage war, only escalating violence, whereas Hamas's ultimate goal is to destroy Israel and replace it with an Islamist state similar to Afghanistan. Terrorism against Israeli civilians is ineffective. as it does not address the core issue, which is the Israeli government. Throughout the conflict, it is crucial to side with the victims of imperial powers, the Palestinian people, rather than support terrorist groups like the IDF or Hamas, who both are evil, while the Palestinian people, who overwhelmingly are not Hamas, are strong. It is important to recognize that organizations like Hamas, while they may claim to support the Palestinian people, are not focused on their well-being. In both Ukraine and Palestine, it is crucial not to support groups like Azov or Hamas in the quest for liberation, as it is not the right approach. I believe that understanding this nuanced view is important. You can stand against both the IDF and Hamas while still supporting the rights and freedom of the Palestinian people. The creation of Israel has been a root cause of ongoing violence and bloodshed in the region. The continuous cycle of violence, with Israel targeting civilians and terrorist groups retaliating, has perpetuated a vicious cycle that endangers both sides. The ideology of Zionism, which advocates for a Jewish state in Palestine, and its pursuit have consistently resulted in more death and destruction, rather than fostering safety and security for anyone involved. Hamas's emergence was shaped by the disappointment generated by the Oslo Accords' failure to yield enduring peace for Palestinians, as well as Israeli efforts to weaken the Fatah party. This historical development should not be viewed as inevitable. Palestine deserves freedom from Israeli occupation, and the current conflict must be addressed, as Israel's colonial project in Gaza is becoming increasingly genocidal. While Hamas's actions cannot be supported or defended, it is crucial to look for alternative solutions. The only viable approach to ending Israeli apartheid is through methods that have proven effective against similar systems, such as BDS, boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. These measures involve urging individuals to boycott goods produced by Israeli companies, pressuring banks and international companies to cease business with Israel, and demanding governments cease military trade and end free trade agreements with Israel, as well as suspending its membership in international forums. International pressure is the real way to free Palestine. That's it for today. If you loved the video, make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Peace out.